Hey, what's up YouTube? Lightsaber Samurai here. I'm back again with another video, and this is a return to form of sorts. On the channel, I used to talk more in the realm of Star Wars and talk more about the Ultrasabers I used to collect and things like that. And I heavily gotten away from that. I kept saying that, 2021, I was going to get back to talking more Star Wars and things and that. And I've been lying to you guys, and I apologize for that. It wasn't until a few weeks ago where a subscriber of mine by the name of Dan, he hopped in on my modified Ultrasabers Mantis review that I shot like 2 years ago. And he had just discovered it and started to ask me questions about Ultrasabers, in particular about the types of Ultrasabers blades. And whilst I was returning, I was replying to him in the comments. I was like, man, you know what? I can make a video about this. I started to kind of get into it, and I was getting hype about it. I'm like, man, you know what? Let me get some things from online. I'm trying to build a, kind of a Star Wars style set, and then let me get back with you, and we will talk about that in detail. So today we are talking about the different types of blades that you can get from ultrasabers.com from your lightsabers. In particular, the differences between the look of it, the lengths of the blades, as well as blade durability. So without further ado, let's talk about it. Okay, so first let's start with the lightsaber lengths, and they come in a variety of sizes. The most common sizes are the 32-inch blade, the 24-inch blade, the 16-inch Shoto, and the 36-inch long blade. Now, he was asking what would be a good length for him. Me personally, I usually stick with 32-inch blades. I do have one 36-inch, and it's pretty cool, but it gets a little bit hard to wield. Also, I think 32 inches that sweet spot as far as balance. So when you're balancing the lightsaber, I think 32s feel really good in the hands. I do have a couple of 24 inch blades that I use for my saber staff. And so with building a saber staff, I'm 5'10", so the 24-inch blades work really well for me in terms of a saber staff. And then, of course, I have a Shoto. So I have a 16-inch blade. It's somewhere. I don't know where it was. I was going to pull it out to show you guys an example of it, but I lost it somewhere. So I'm looking for that. It's around the house somewhere. But, yeah, so those are the major lengths. Again, I'm 5'10", and I find that the 32-inch blade works best for me for most lightsabers, unless, of course, I'm using saber staffs. Then for saber staffs, I would go for the 24-inch. And so that's kind of the metric I would use for that. I would say if you're over 6 feet, definitely you're probably going to rock standard 36-inch blades and then use the 32-inch blades for saber staffs. But for me, just my average height, I'm going 32 on the normal sabers and then 24 on the staffs. Okay, moving in now to lightsaber types. And so Ultrasabers makes two major types of lightsabers. The first one being here, just kind of this standard finish. And so it's kind of got this metallic finish to it. And so this is the standard blade that you can get with your Ultrasaber. The other one they have is the Ultra Edge blade, and that's kind of this white-coated polycarbonate. This gives more reflection, so I think for the most part you get brighter blades when you use these blades. But I think that the standards kind of look cooler when they're just idle and not turned on. So they, especially for if I got like a mostly metallic saber like this, I think it looks really cool when you got just the standard blade hanging out of this one. So yeah, for me, I mostly get the standards. I have this one Ultra Edge, and my Shoto is an Ultra Edge as well. Okay, so looking at the blades here, I'm not sure how well you can tell, but again, they come in the mid-grade, which is 0.08 inches in thickness, and then they have the heavy grade blade, which is 1.3 inches in thickness. So they categorize the mid grade blade as being for light dueling, and for the most part, I haven't really had much issues with even mid grade blades. Same for the heavies. The heavies are super heavy duty, and so he was talking. Dan was mentioning some of the styles that he wanted to duel with. So I think for him, for you in particular, Dan, if you're using something like the Mantis and you want to do something like Ataru or not Ataru, I'm sorry, but Makashi. If you want to use like the Makashi style, then I would suggest using the mid-grade blade. The mid-grade blades, for the most part, they clash well even with heavy-grade blades. For all of these blades, the major issue, I've never cracked one in half, and I've been using all of these for several years. I've never cracked one in half. The tips are prone to coming off, though, so that is a major issue, and that happens with, I think I've lost 2 tips, one from a mid-grade blade and one from a heavy-grade blade. So it just happens, like if you strike it at that like certain type of spot, you can knock the tip off, but they super glue back pretty easy. I have one it's not this, actually it is this one. Ironically, it was my bullet tip one, and I don't know if it'll focus on that. Let me move this mic. So again, taking a look at that, the bullet tip, which is one thing I didn't mention. You can get these in either round or bullet tips. The bullet tip is okay. I prefer the round, though, after playing with both. And so, yeah, even though I knocked it and had to re-super glue it, it worked like a charm after that. Ultrasabers used to, I don't know if they still do, but they used to also offer, like, just like a bag of, like, grab bag blades, which is kind of like slightly used blades. That they took on shows or whatever it did for exhibitions for dueling, some that they've refurbished, and you can get those for a fraction of the cost for replacement blades. And so I've got a couple of those over the years as well. So if I'm doing some heavy dueling, then I might slap one of those on and then keep some of these blades as some of my nicer blades if I were going to cosplay, which I never end up doing. But that was the thought behind it. I would use the grab bags to play with, and then I would have some pristine looking ones that I can take with me when I'm, at a convention or whatever the case. So yeah, those are the 2 types. As far as thickness, again, durability wise, we'll do some tests here in a moment, but durability wise, I didn't see much of an issue with either of these. So just keep that in mind. I would say if you're doing like a heavier style, like maybe Shicho, Juyo, or Jimso, then maybe you'd want to use the heavy grade blades. So you can have peace of mind that you're not really going to crack those. Again, I've personally never cracked a blade at the midway point anywhere. I've only ever lost the tips. So I think I usually kind of use more of a Makashi style too, with the one-hand fencing, which is why in that modified Mantis review video, that's why I modified the Mantis the way I did to make it lighter so it fit better in the hand when I was using one-hand styles. But because I'm using more like glancing blows and thrust, I think that's more of what made me lose the tip on that. But like I said, it's an easy fix if you ever do lose a tip, and over the several years that I've had them, I've only ever lost 2. So I don't think it's a super huge deal, but just know that that is an issue. Okay, now Dan mentioned the style that he wanted to use and was asking the question, which type of blade should he get and would it be suitable for the style that he wanted to employ when he dueled. So just going down the list of styles, starting with the first lightsaber style, which is Shicho or Shiicho, depending on how you pronounce it by the spelling. It's the first form of lightsaber combat, and I think that it's more of a heavy hitting style. So I would probably use a heavy myself for it. It's wild, kind of unpredictable style. It's probably better to have a heavy grade blade to protect you against that. And when I think of practitioners of the style like Kit Fisto, he seemed to have a pretty heavy hitting style. Or at least a heavy hitting implementation of the Shicho style. So I would probably go heavy grade blade on that. Moving on to Form 2, which is the Makashi style. That is more of kind of a Western fencing type of style, as is depicted in the lore and in the media. Practitioners of the style like Shakti or Count Dooku, they use more glancing blows and have the kind of one-handed kind of form with it. And so I think you would be fine with a mid-grade blade. Again, you're not going to be doing power strikes when using Makashi, and you won't be doing head-on blocks either. Most of your blocks will be kind of more the deflecting type of block. So you really won't be, or at least really shouldn't be taking like head-on hits, even for somebody who's using a heavy grade lightsaber. So I think the mid-grade blade will work fine for that. Mid-grade is also going to be lighter to help with the maneuverability of those moves as well. So again, I would suggest probably using like a 32-inch mid-grade blade from Makashi. Going on to Form 3, which is Surisu, and that is the defensive form, and it's practically all defense. Practitioners of the Surisu style, like Obi-Wan Kenobi, again, they kind of use their defensive form like Makashi users use their offensive form. It's a lot of glancing and deflecting blows. They don't always take blows head on when using like a Surisu type defense, and for that, not to mention that you have to be faster on the draw with Surisu as well, because you really can't let anything get through. I think mid-grade blades work very well here as well. And so I would use something probably like I wouldn't go over 32 inches when I'm using Surisu either. In fact, I might even use the 24-inch blades. Darth Zana comes to mind. With her saber staff, she used slightly shorter than normal blades compared to other staff users like Darth Maul, because she really wanted to have that close quarters kind of defense when she implied her Surisu style with the saber staff. So yeah, I would use shorter blades on that, and again, mid-grade blades I think will do really well for Surisu. Next on the list, we have the most common style toward the end of the fall of the Old Republic, and that was Ataru. Pretty much every lightsaber wielder during this era was at least somewhat versed in the style, as it was a favorite of Padawans of the time. So, I mean, Ahsoka Tano, Obi-Wan Kenobi earlier in his career, Anakin Skywalker, Barriss Offee, a lot of them use the Ataru style. So depending on how you implement the use of Ataru, as there are some forms of Ataru that encourage dual wielding, again, I'd probably be using the smaller 24-inch blades with that, and I'd keep a mid-grade so I can move fast. Ataru is a very acrobatic style, and it heavily incorporates the Suma rotations that you see like Master Yoda use a lot, and so yeah, I would definitely want to be traveling light for a style like that so I can just fire off rapid attacks. So I would probably say 24, maybe 32 inch, but I'd definitely be using mid-grade blades for that as well. Again, there's not a lot of power blows in Ataru, so I don't think you really have to worry about using the heavier blades. And again, just for the speed and maneuverability that the style calls for, you want to be traveling light on that. So that's why I would use those for Ataru. Moving on to Form 5, and one of my favorites, this is Gemso, and this is a dueling-centric form that uses a lot of power blows. A lot of practitioners of the Gemso style, like Anakin Skywalker toward the end of the Clone Wars, Darth Vader, Luke Skywalker, a lot of them imply a lot of power strikes, heavy hitting strikes, and so for that, I'm definitely using heavy grade blades. I'm probably using the heavy grade 32-inch for this, as I would be holding my lightsaber with both hands and really coming with heavy cleaves and swipes. And so definitely for a style like Xi'an and Gemso, I would definitely be using heavy grade blades. Form 6, which is the Niman style, and Niman incorporates a lot of kind of bits and pieces from all of the previous styles, and Niman also incorporates a lot of force abilities within their fighting style, and so that I would probably go ahead and use a heavy grade blade with the Niman style, as I would be relying on my force abilities to supplement any gaps in my offense or defense. What my force powers couldn't account for, my heavy grade blade would. So again, I'm rocking the 32-inch heavy grade blade when I'm using Niman. and that will help me set up opponents, deflect a lot of their blows, and kind of parry their blows and leave them open for force pulls and pushes and things like that. So with Iman, I'm probably going to go ahead and use a heavy grade blade on that as well. And finally, the last style on the list is Juyo. This is a heavy hitting style incorporated by a lot of Sith. It's a very aggressive style, high acrobatics, and pretty much all just heavy hitting blows. Again, I'm using the heavy grade blade for that 32 inch, as Juyo is very similar to Jimso in its applications. So I would definitely be using like a larger hilt with a heavier blade, just so I can cleave through attacks. So definitely, if I'm using Juyo, I'm using the heavy grade blade. Okay, and kind of a bonus, I did want to talk about Jarkai a little bit, because Jarkai is not one of the 7 forms officially recognized, but it's heavily adopted by the Jedi, and it's kind of like the dual wielding style. Before, Jedi had used the dual wielding disciplines within Ataru for their dual wielding style, but Jarkai was a style that I think it was originally employed by a dark side organization, and the Jarkai style kind of incorporated and kind of made its way into the Jedi curriculum, just based on the fact that Jedi would come into contact and combat this ancient organization, the Letal, I believe their name was. So with Jarkai, same thing. I would probably take the same approach as I would with Ataru and stick to 24, maybe 32 inch blades. I'm going to go heavy on these, I think, because I think while Jarkai is pretty acrobatic, like the Ataru disciplines of dual wielding, I think I would probably use a heavy grade 24 inch blade when I'm dual wielding with Jarkai. So alright guys, so I do believe that's all I got for you, but let's talk about it in the comment section below. Questions, comments, concerns, threats. What lightsaber blade would you guys get with your custom saber? As always, if you guys like this content, go ahead, hit that like button and subscribe. If you haven't done so already, you'll be glad you did. I do believe that's all I got for you. Lightsaber Samurai out. May the Force be with you.